Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brent.
Alliance Assemble, volume 193. And we're going to talk a lot about Sony today, Brent.
We are Sony Pictures today. Today is your day.
Yes, the Sony's Pictures universe of Marvel characters, emphasis on the PU of the SPUMC.
Pretty much, but I'll be honest. Both the properties we're going to talk about, like if they were to actually happen, they have my attention.
Oh yes, I agree with you. The characters themselves, I'm quite interested in, and I just always, when it comes to outside of, we give credit where credit is due. They have done an outstanding job with Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse.
Absolutely.
Live action. Saying it's a mixed bag is being kind.
Yes, absolutely.
So, how's your week been?
It's been good. It's been good. Kind of getting to that point of like peeping the calendar, be like, how many more days of school do I have? How many more days of work, I guess I should say, do I have before winter break? Which for me, as a 12-month person in education, is my longest break of the year. So I am excited for that. So I'm just kind of in that mode right now.
Yeah, I am also 12 months in my county, and next week is our last full week with students. Our last full week with students. Dang. Period. We have. Since I have 12 months, like the months the days that staff has off, I necessarily don't. I get holidays off. Things are designated holiday. Annual leave, I either take off or I work. And my old boss and I have the same adage that I work because it's one day closer to retirement. But our county has given us the first 3 days of break for everyone to have the option to work from home. So I will be
that's
working.
Nice.
So
that's
yes.
Nice.
It was a nice little Christmas gift at that point. So I will be working remotely those 3 days and only have to take off one day that first week off. So the days are counting. This was my very, very difficult week. It's, the middle of the 3 weeks after Thanksgiving. I was leading up benchmark testing, getting observations in. Like I said, I was working until 7:00 tonight. So the kids are in bed. Aaron's across the street going to a holiday party with her girlfriends. So I'm very much looking forward to the weekend. So
absolutely. But hey, if they're going to make you work during that time, at least you get to do it from home some of the time. That is not an option that we have, even though like some people's jobs, myself included, I could easily do more than half of it, probably 80% of my job or more. Yeah. I don't need to physically be there, but that's okay. It'd be nice. And it'd be nice to have like one day a week I can work from home. Is what it is, though.
Yep, but our countdown has begun to our breaks. We're looking forward to it, and but yeah, so let us get into the news and everything like that. But first, as always, we got to do the network plugs. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 7 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out the show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. We've got our $1 tiers, our tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job? And then we've got our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive shows, including our show, We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance Infinity Saga MCU Rewatch. We have 23 episodes up there. That is 2 years in the making. Avengers Endgame was our most recent drop, and Brent and I are recording the series finale of We Can Watch This All Day.
That's right. Spider-Man Far From Home. And yes, if someone just caught it, you said 23 and Far From Home is number 23. Well,
23. Up, I marked it wrong on our
No,
thing,
you didn't. You're right. We put Black Widow in there because it's where it goes. And so it's where Black Widow goes, and it fits so nicely in there with it. But just because somebody is questioning the numbers, like yes. No, like the math is the math is mathing in this case. So we are doing Far From Home, recording it on Monday. Look for that later this month to come out.
Yes, and again, a comic book guy from Simpsons is saying, "Oh, point of order."
He'll get over it.
Yeah, they will. But yes, our series finale for that we'll be recording next week. Far From Home. It'll drop. Will it drop Christmas Day? Is Christmas Day for us Monday?
The end of the month. Let's find out.
Yes, I think
that is the last Monday of the month. So
Merry, for those that celebrate, Merry Christmas for our patrons.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, I guess, it'll be in your feeds for Tuesday, assuming you're tied up with
Yep.
family stuff on Monday. But hey, if you're not, I'm not judging you. Everyone's got to do their own thing, and if you
Yep.
want to celebrate Christmas, listen to us talk about Far From Home, then by all means, have at it. It'll be in your feeds.
It will be in your feeds, but yes, it is our series finale at that point. Brent and I are going to be taking some time to think about what we're going to do next for our Patreon content. But this was our first idea, and Brent's biggest thing is he'd never done the chronological watch order, and we will definitely talk about his opinion on doing it this way on that episode. So. But yeah, so we've also got DC Alliance is doing their DC through the years. Katie's doing her comic book canon for Star Wars. Clay and Clay and Jake are looking at Marvel Snap. So a lot of great stuff, a lot of back content out there. If you want to go back and relive Halloween, Joe is got his Multiverse minutes with the 30 plus days of Halloween that's out there. So again, a lot of great content. We want to thank our patrons. I can't do this without your support. And if you're not a member of our Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/GWA Network and to join our Patreon. But if you can't join us on Patreon, take 30 to 90 seconds and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast. We greatly appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging, ships around the world. Got about 13 days to lock in those pre-orders for the next round. Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender coming back into print in omnibus form. House of M Omnibus Companion. All the extra stories that weren't in the main omnibus is in its first printing run. A lot of great stuff. Use that code MARVELGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. Use it an unlimited amount of times and lets them know you are a listener, and we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. I see chats going off at that point. All in the game saying anyone else come out of FFH expecting the third movie to be Craven focused?
Yeah, and there was a ton of fan speculation.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you kind of get it, right? Like Peter was being framed for murder, and it's like, okay, he's coming in, he's going to hunt the spider,
Yeah,
right?
I thought so.
And they didn't do. They had other plans for Craven, so
they pivoted.
They pivoted. Yeah, they had other plans for Craven, and obviously, No Way Home. What happened with that wasn't like the original plan.
Correct. Yes.
I would be curious to know what like the original plan behind closed doors meetings were, but regardless, yes, all in the game. That was absolutely something that was going around.
Mm-hmm. Last thing before we get into the news this week, our final crossover for 2023, the GUA crossover, will be next Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And members of the GUA network will be coming together to basically probably our year in review. Things we haven't talked about yet, some other things. So again, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Saturday night. Tier 2 patrons, you will get the link sent to you on Patreon about 5 to 10 minutes after we've gone live to join us in conversation. So we look forward to doing that to wrap up our 2023. So I'll probably be joining for a little bit because the next day I've got a lot of driving to do at that point. So
I'm still TBD. My daughter has an aerial show that night, and I don't know the timing of it yet. I don't know when I'll be home, so I'm TBD on that one.
TBD. Yep, I should be able to make a good appearance for the first half of it. So yeah. So check it out at that point. All right, I think that's everything, Brent. So let's get into a light news week as we come to the end of the year. Again, the news is going to get a little bit lighter, but we pick up some little nuggets here and there, and it's, as you see, if you're watching on YouTube or as we talked about at the opening, it's going to be very Sony Spider-Man universe focused at this point. So let us start off with a character that came into an existence and then picked up some kind of a cult following, especially in Into the Spider-Verse. Let's talk Spider-Man Noir in the animated movie, voiced very well by the illustrious Nicolas Cage.
Absolutely.
So this is coming from Variety as an exclusive. Spider-Man Noir series at Amazon enlists the Punisher's Steve Lightfoot as co-showrunner. So they detail saying the Spider-Man Noir live-action series at works at Amazon has brought on Steve Lightfoot as the co-showrunner. The show was first reported to be in the works at Amazon back in February. Oren Uzel is the writer on the project and will serve alongside Lightfoot as co-showrunner and executive producer. As previously reported, the entitled series will follow an older, grizzled superhero in the 1930s New York City. An individual with knowledge of the project says that the show will be set in its own universe and the main character will not be Peter Parker. This is not Lightfoot's first foray into the Marvel world. He had previously developed and served as the showrunner for the Punisher Netflix series starring Jon Bernthal, which ran for two seasons before Disney decided to pull back all its content and put it back on Disney Plus. He has also served as showrunner on the Apple TV Plus series Shantaram, based on the book of the same name. His other credits include Hannibal, which is a huge personal favorite of mine, and our head of network, Travis Snell, Narcos, and Behind Her Eyes. The Spider-Man Noir show is the second known project based on the Sony-controlled Marvel characters at Amazon. It was previously announced that Amazon was moving forward with another show we will talk about lately, so we're going to hold on that one. And yeah, so Uziel developed the show along with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse producers Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and former Sony boss Amy Pascal, who all executive produce. So it looks to be Spider-Man Noir is really going to be a thing, and not animated, but as live action. And I just say, again, you bring the showrunner for the Punisher and Netflix, which this series, Spider-Man Noir, as they're saying, is going to be a gritty and dark, dark in many different ways, dark show. Yeah, I'd say you picked the right person that has the pedigree to do it, especially with his background doing Hannibal of all things too.
Yeah, Noir in the Into the Spider-Verse movies, he's a pretty lighthearted character. There's fun. There's the joke about the Rubik's Cube. He doesn't understand these colors, but he will. He's taking it with him. That's a very valid interpretation of the character, but that is different from what he's normally like in the comics, where he is much more dark and grim. And I'm not saying he's like Spider-Man as Punisher, but I would get it if you said that. I would understand that. So if you're gonna have Lightfoot, who was co-showrunner and executive producer on the Punisher, come onto this, on paper, it totally fits. It totally fits. And obviously, the Punisher alone, you've got my attention because I absolutely love that show. It's my second favorite of the shows on from the Defender saga, behind only Daredevil. And I just absolutely love the Punisher, and I love the work that Lightfoot did on that show. And so I'm very intrigued with this. I genuinely hope that this show happens. I know there's people who just want Sony to give up the license, all the rights back to Disney. I'm living in reality where that's not going to happen probably ever unless they're forced to. And if that's the case, I want the best content we can get. And this sounds fantastic. Plus, frankly, while this isn't the show that I've envisioned, I have wanted a Spider-Man live action TV show for a long time. I used to want something the equivalent of Smallville for Spider-Man. Yeah. And for a long, long time. And so I'm super into the idea. I hope they actually make it.
Yeah, I think, again, that they have a showrunner of the pedigree that he has at that point. This is showing they're taking it seriously. We have the idea of, again, in the as you said, the animated version of Spider-Man Noir is definitely more tongue-in-cheek, leaning into the memification of a person from the 1930s at that point, man out of time. But the actual Spider-Man Noir is dark and gritty at that point, if I'm not mistaken at that point. I find it interesting, though, that they are going with, someone who's quote-unquote not Peter Parker. But I'm not necessarily upset about that because, as we all know, anyone can wear the mask. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a Peter Parker.
There are plenty of Spider-Men who are not Peter Parker.
And Spider-Women.
And Spider-Women, absolutely.
So that, I haven't heard, again, it's a cult favorite character, Spider-Man Noir, so I didn't hear but then I either had them muted or blocked if the people got the toxics got restless about the Spider-Man Noir not being a version of Peter Parker.
Yeah, so it ultimately it's not Peter. Okay, that's fine. All I see is introduce a new spider to potentially be in the future movies, be that animated, live action, a new Spider to join the comic books, I'm totally here for it.
Now, my question to you is, do you want it in color or black and white? Like the thing is, like
So,
if you remember kind of how Sin City was
mhm.
done, that's what I would, not necessarily in that style, but that would be kind of the look and the aura.
So I'm not a huge fan of black and white in general, but it is when that's how the original design of the project was, it just fits. Like it did take me getting used to The Walking Dead, for example, to seeing the comic books that were in black and white and the live action show in color. And yeah, I know they did a couple of the episodes in black and white, and I watched those, but that's not how the whole series was, obviously. And well, I quit watching it partway through, but however many seasons I watched were in color. It did take a little getting used to seeing those stories. I guess I would say go with black and white just to be like from the comic fidelity standpoint, but I'm not gonna like knock them for it if they don't do that because Spider-Man Noir is a niche version of Spider-Man. People aren't gonna necessarily know that. Obviously, Into the Spider Verse will have helped that because that character is essentially black and white. I, I guess I would prefer black and white because it fits the comic, but if they don't do it, I'm not going to knock them any points.
Yeah, it's not a make or break. I think it would be a nice aesthetic choice to kind of say this is from the comics, but again, this is they've got to get a general audience looking into it. They've already got at least the peak of interest. Oh, Spider-Man Noir, what is that? So they've already got the curiosity in the sense of Spider-Man name recognition Noir, what is that? They're gonna have to do what's best in the sense of what's gonna get the views on it. You know, again, it's a streaming platform, so it's a little bit different at that point. But I'll be honest, there's I don't watch a ton on Amazon Prime, but the things I do watch, like such as The Boys and Gen V, and now my wife and I are about, I think we started the third or fourth season of The Marvelous Miss Maisel due to
Oh, that's
the
such a good show.
we're loving it, and it basically, to be frankly honest, is always on our to-do list. But when she got cast as Lois Lane, I said, "All right, I've seen her in
Do
other
do you
things."
do you see it? Do you see where she
Oh,
could be a
absolutely.
Lois Lane? Oh my gosh, yes,
Yes,
perfect casting.
within the first two episodes, I said this makes sense.
Yes,
Um, and Upload. I still haven't watched the new season, but I mean, Jack
couple weird
Ryan.
ones in there, but yeah, Jack Ryan, Reacher's on there. Reacher's
Yep,
good. Like
Reacher.
there's some good stuff. Reacher season 2 comes out next week. Please don't spoil me on it. I'm going to be way behind on it.
Yeah, that's gonna be one that's gonna be
I'll watch it, but I'll be way behind.
Yeah, I may download whatever episodes it is on my journeys to watch. But so I'm picking up a lot more than I have, and I think that's the thing that Amazon is kind of like in my mind what Apple TV is getting. You know, they have some good, decent hits at that point that they're slowly getting traction. So I don't look at Amazon Prime anymore as, oh, it's the fact that they've already picked up the Cape Crusader, the animated show
Yep.
from there. They're picking up this stuff. Yes, it's Sony, but it's gonna have some pedigree with Amazon behind it at that point. They're gonna have some say in it. I'm gonna give them a chance. You know, as I said, to say the Sony universe with Spider-Man characters has been a mixed bag is being a little too being too kind at that point. You know, Venom, Morbius, ugh, you know. So it's a jury's still out on Madam Web of the Blueprint and Craven, but the characters of Spider-Man Noir and soon to be, as we're talking about later, Silk, those are very characters I have a kind of a cult following too. I'm really intrigued by both of these characters.
Yeah, I like the characters from the comics. I want. We keep saying we want Sony to put some spiders into their projects, not just use the villains and the
Yeah.
side characters. And yeah, sure, most people want to see classic Peter Parker. That's just not going to happen right now. And if the options are these other versions and variants of Peter and not Peter, just of spiders to keep getting new content, well, I'm a Spider-Man guy. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. So let's give it a chance. Again, they're moving forward with this, and sounds like they've already got a showrunner, so nothing's really been written. So it's probably going to be, let's be honest, probably a year before we start seeing any kind of real traction on this. 6 months to a year, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's going to be quite a while.
So again, I like hearing it moving forward. So let's get into something that's right now not moving forward. And this is coming from IGN, And looking at the title of it is WGA reportedly threatens Amazon Studios with legal action over Silk still paused after the strike is over. They're saying as to Hollywood getting back to work. At the WGA, it's coming from industry newsletter. The Ankler reports that WGA sent a stern letter, I like it, stern letter, to Amazon Studios over the shows whose development remains on pause nearly 2 months after the WGA strike ended in September. In a statement to the Ankler, the WGA said, in failing to commence development on several series, Amazon Studios is in violation of Article 7 of the WGA and the AMPT's Memorandum of Agreement, or in the WGA words, studios are obligated to return writers to work upon termination of the strike, and the writers' personal services agreement were extended for a period equal to the portion of the contract that elapsed during the strike. The statement provided by Ankler reads, the WGA makes it clear it will bring legal action against Amazon and any other studio that violates the STA to recover compensation, interest on late payments, and benefit contributions due to as a result of the delay. So Amazon Studios declined to comment when reached out to IGN, and WGA has not yet replied to IGN's request for further comment. Of note, one of the shows is Silk Spider Society. That is still delayed and has not gone back into production. They picked up the live-action series back in 2022, headed up by the former Walking Dead showrunner Angela Kang and produced by the two Into the Spider-Verse's Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. In announcing that Silk would be headed to Prime Video, it seemed clear that at the time, Amazon would be investing heavily into Spidey characters and the characters in the universe, inking a multi-series deal for these characters. Earlier this year, Amazon confirmed that the live-action Spider-Man Noir was also in development, which we just talked about, and that makes it all stranger why this series continues to remain on ice. According to the Anklers, Silk was well into the writing process before the strike began, being a number of episodes have already been completed. Representatives for Kang, Lord, and Miller have not yet responded to a request for comment. What's worse, the Ankler reports that the writers of Silk Spider Society and several other Amazon series are not being paid as the shows remain on pause. Yet they're unable to find new work while they are still contractually bound to be with Amazon Studios only. Per the report, a flurry of agents and lawyers are now involved. So, we get good news with Amazon on one side, and now we've got Amazon playing basically making wrong by the WGA.
Right after we praised them for several good shows and projects that they've done, and we're looking forward to Spider-Man Noir, Silk Spider Society. It's like two sides of the same coin. And I know this news was a little bit older than the Spider-Man Noir stuff, but it just felt right to cover them together. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing for these writers who are stuck. They're frozen. They can't. The strike is over, but it's not really over for them.
No.
And so hopefully this all gets sorted out, and like there's references to potential late payments and interest payments and things like that. Do it all. Pay these writers, make it right, and then move forward. Just move forward.
Yeah, and this is one of the things, especially when they're already like episodes deep. Like it's moving. It's further along than Spider-Man Noir that has not one episode written, and they've had showrunners in place on Silk. It's a very fascinating character, especially as we get into the idea that Silk is in the comics the quote unquote chosen one and not Peter Parker. It is a very unique take, and they can go with this character in a lot of different directions. They don't have to go necessarily the full origins and the kind of creepy being held by Ezekiel and all that kind of stuff. They can have a lot of fun with this, and especially as you and I, Brent, very much promote on this show, representation matters.
Always.
This is a character that is a great character for representation due to her ethnic background.
And if you go farther with it, let's talk about Miles Morales. They promoted him in the movies. He got the video games and stuff. They really elevated his character the last few years. You could kind of like see a similar track potentially for Cindy Moon. And I'll just leave it at that. But you could see similar track potentially there. I like the idea for it. I really hope it happens. And I always thought, who knows, maybe they would do it differently in this. But in the comics, her origin, the particular spider that bites her, I always thought was a pretty fascinating idea. And so If they were to do something similar to that, I would enjoy it. If they had to change it, I would understand why. But I do like her origin in the comics.
Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I really do personally. I really do hope they keep it because it, like you said, it brings a very fascinating take. And if you don't want to know the origin, skip ahead 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Spoiler. It's the same spider that bites Peter Parker after the fact, and it came about in the series Original Sin, where that character that was revealed that there was another one bitten before the spider died. So that brings up all different whole different dynamics in the sense of they can be in different universes and have a different Spider-Man out there with Silk, but I really like that idea, and I kind of hope it is because it makes the character unique in the sense of where have they been and what do they do when there's already a spider character out there, you know?
Exactly. And I always, I haven't read everything she's been a part of, but I do enjoy it when she pops up. And she's got a really cool character or costume design.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, they would change it, but hopefully they'll adapt something similar to that. Her ties to Ezekiel, well, I think it's come up a time or two before. I'm a fan of the Ezekiel character. And so with what that all pertains, like if they were going to go that direction, I'm okay with it all, And again, I'm open to different stories. I'm open to them not using it, but assuming it's not going to be Cindy Moon in name only, I'm hoping to see some of these elements from the comics. So hopefully Amazon will get moving forward on this project like they were already supposed to have been.
And you know what? In these cases at this point, yeah, you're gonna bring in characters that are villains in the Spider-Man universe, and they're gonna become Cindy Moon, Rogues Gallery at that point. They did it in Batwoman. I was okay
Yep.
with it then. I'm
Yep.
okay with them adapting and changing things around. They can bring in the same characters that are villains in Spider-Man and make them Cindy Moon Silk villains. It's okay. That's what they do. That's what's going to happen.
Completely agree with all that.
But all this to say, Amazon, do right, get this series back into order at this point, or can't cancel it, which will be bad in my opinion at that point, and release these writers so that they can go somewhere else. You are affecting their livelihood. You are affecting them. They've already been through a long strike. They can't take out their projects. They can't work on anything else. So either let them get back to work or release them for their contracts so they can get work.
You know what? I co-sign everything you just said. Do one or the other. If you're not going to put them to work, release the contracts. But even if they're not going to put them to work, as far as my understanding, they owe them back pay since the strike was over. They owe them back pay.
So this is a tale of two news stories in which where Amazon's doing well and Amazon's is not making the right choices. So again, as we say, pay them, do the right thing. I would like, again, it was a interesting choice to see when this was first announced, but I said I like the character, let's do it. And Olivia Wilde is attached to this, I believe, or is she attached to something different?
She was supposed to be attached to some sort of Spider-Woman project,
Okay.
And she made a comment once about not making Kevin mad, and basically that's the last time we've heard anything on it, as far as I can remember. Like nobody knows specifically what project that was supposed to be.
And
I
it still
assume
exists.
it just doesn't. Yeah, that it doesn't exist anymore. But that is an assumption, to be clear.
Is it basically as Matthew McConaughey says a Fugazi now?
There you go. There you go.
So, all right. Well, as we said, light news week. So that's all the news for this week. So we're going to take our first and possibly only ad break for this evening. So listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud. Give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. So let me pull up our Fact or Fictions from last week, right?
Yeah, last week.
All right. So, and I know you've got yours ready to go.
Yep.
All right. Here it is. Number 1. Jessica Jones' first appearance back in the MCU will be in Daredevil Born Again, not Echo. 89% said fact, 11% said fiction. Number 2, Deadpool 3 will make under $1 billion in total box office, but will make more than $800 million. 71% said fact, 29% said fiction. And number 3, Madam Web will earn more domestically in its first weekend than Craven will. 44% said fact, 56% said fiction. So the listeners and the viewers on X are saying they are Craven more Craven. All right, Brent, you are up. So hit us what you got this week.
All right, first up. As of right now, there are 4 scheduled MCU properties and movies. Let me be clear, movies in 2025.
Okay.
My fact or fiction is at least one of the MCU 2025 movies will be bumped to 2026.
Fact. Don't even have to think about that.
I completely agree. I'm a fact on this. I keep seeing people like almost daily freaking out about this, and I'm just like, guys, they're not all coming out. They're not all coming out.
What are they freaking out? Like, how can they do this? Or are they worried about the movie?
Just that basically no lessons have been learned from too much content in 1 year.
For those that are freaking out, or those that don't understand how the industry works, this is one of those things where they're not going to move them right now because they want to hold on to those dates, because once they release it, it's within minutes, sometimes within the hour. If they don't scoop it back up, another studio is going to take it. So a lot of times they're placing these movies in those dates so that way they have a hold on those dates. And if they want to switch it around, they could do it quick because they own that weekend date.
I have some, after these fact or fictions, I'd like to do some breaking news from the games for you.
Oh,
the Game Awards. I got David as our reporter in the field feeding me.
Yes. Oh, I just saw it. There we go.
All right. Yep. So number 2, fact or fiction number 2, Kang will be alluded to in Deadpool 3.
Kang will be alluded to in Deadpool 3. Or He Who Remains?
Yes.
Okay, so a Kang variant?
The character variant that Jonathan Majors has been playing will be alluded to.
There we go.
I'm going to shorthand this to Kang.
Yes, that's fine. I will say fact. I could see definitely some reference.
Okay, I think I'm a fact as well. This is probably. I'm not like super strong like I am the last one. I lead fact on this one. That's why we're going with that.
Yeah. It's not. I don't need that to be in it. It would be nice in the sense of if Kang is still going to be where we're headed to with the main villain, if that's still a thing, then yes, I would think they need to do it. Being that it's multiverse, they're putting it out there. I think it would be really, really a lost opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Finally, Beyond the Spider-Verse will show a hero that is not a spider, likely just in passing, but we will see a hero that is not a spider
in
Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Beyond the Spider-Verse, a hero that's not a spider in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Help me out. Kind of give me an example.
Well, just about any MCU character, for example, would be not a spider.
Okay.
Let's say they had an Iron Man flyby. He's not a spider, but he's a hero. But there are Spider-Man characters who are not spiders. Just to make it easy, name one: Black Cat. She's not a spider. But I mean, depending on what story, if she's a hero or not, I guess. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering if you were talking about like Spider-Man characters or like in that bunch. Okay. I mean, the good idea. I like how you put out there with Black Cat. Yeah, I could definitely see it. I think Across the Spider-Verse gave us the full looks of all the different versions of spiders. Doesn't mean we're not going to see other versions of spiders out there, but I do like the idea of maybe other spider characters, us getting kind of them seeing in quick cameos and things like that. I think that would be kind of fun. So yeah, I'm down with that.
All right. I'm sending you a link right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It looks like a Blade teaser.
Yep. Yeah.
Just do it. Should we just do it right here?
We're doing it live. We're doing it live.
I haven't watched it yet. David just sent it to me. So thank you, David. I appreciate your service to excellence. Your commitment to excellence.
Well, tell people what's going on right now, and as I get ready to pull it up.
So the Game Awards are happening right now. There's been all this talk about, will we get something from Wolverine? Will we get something from Spider-Man 2, like DLC or whatever? Well, we did get something, and from Arcane, is that how you say it? Arcane Studios. Who I'm not much of a gamer. I'm not super familiar with them.
I will help you with that.
Blade. They're doing a Blade video game. You have my attention.
Yes, so as I pull this up, at that point, we're going to do our first live. Well, not our first, but it's definitely our most. It's been a while since we've done a live trailer reaction that we have not gotten prior viewing to. I think it was probably No Way Home was our last time doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's been. I can only think of one other time when I've been podcasting and a trailer came out while I was podcasting, and we just stopped right then and there to do it.
So yeah, but yeah, Arcane Studios, if memory serves, the series I remember them most for is the Dishonored series at that point. So I really do enjoy that series. It's a lot of kind of a steampunk kind of feel to it at that point. And so yeah, so we're gonna pull this up. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to hear it necessarily, but we'll do our best to kind of see what's going on.
It's cool that they're doing it though.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen any rumors about this.
Yep, Bethesda. Bethesda's Arcane's now is a subset of Bethesda. And Bethesda is huge studio at that point. Dishonored and Deathloop. Okay. Interesting. All right. Looks like we're looking into kind of a streets of I'm not sure where. I think okay, looking at the yeah, I'm not familiar necessarily. It's almost sounding like French.
Keep going. I know you don't have the audio up. I'm a little bit ahead of you.
Yeah.
And you do hear some English.
Okay. Okay, yeah, it starts turning into English, you're right.
Yep. And we're in here in a barbershop.
Mm-hmm. He looks like a guy's.
Right there, he said, "Relax, I don't bite."
Don't bite. Yep.
And it's Blade. That's
definitely
funny.
Blade. Yep.
I'm digging the humor.
Yep. I like it turns red at that point. Gives him a 20. Oh, he's decked out.
Okay.
It's just getting started. Okay.
I'm here for it. Thanks again, David, for letting me know about that going on. But that's awesome. Another game. I'd be shocked if I don't end up checking it out. Be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is your typical kind of teaser cinematic. At that point, they did the same thing with Wolverine. That's all we've gotten at that point. But yeah, I mean, as we are waiting for the actual Blade movie to get back into production, yeah, put it out there. I think this would be a great, very fun, like the potential for doing a Blade video game. Yeah, that's go as they're saying. A Wolverine's going to be a hard R video game at that point. Blade, yeah, you're going to have to do that at that point to really kind of do that way. In Arcane, Bethesda, yeah, you've got some high quality pedigree studios behind that. So they knowing what they produced in the past, yeah, they should do well with this. So that's a nice surprise at that point. Thank you, David, for the heads up, because I've been wondering if what was being announced, and I was just mostly going to catch all the trailers tomorrow as they're all aggregated on their sites. So,
well, for what it's worth, he said Anthony Mackie announced another season of Twisted Metal on Peacock. So if you've seen that, I haven't seen it. I hear it's good, but so there's a little bit of a slight Marvel tie in there with our Captain America.
Despite the $1.99 a month for a year at that point, still didn't subscribe to Peacock. I enjoyed the trailer for Twisted Metal. Yeah, it's probably not going to be on my to-do list for winter break. So
fair enough.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Hey, you know what? An extra news item we were not expecting tonight. So yeah, that's check that out if you did not realize that you're waking up saying, hey, there's going to be a new Blade video game. So be very curious to see who is voicing Blade in that. So yeah, all right. So I think you wrapped up your Fact or Fictions as we were getting that. So I will post those on Sunday afternoon. So let your voices be heard on that. And let us conclude tonight, Brent, as we typically do with Comic Book Club, The Punisher, issue number 10. So we've got 2 more issues left. And looks like Frank has finally met the Russian in this issue.
Yeah, I'll say, just opens the door and just Russian jacking him right away.
Frank's gone through a lot, and in the last couple of issues, basically being on death's door, and the fact that he's just recently quote unquote recovered at that point, and just get like knocks at the door, and he even hits himself for not checking who it is and just opening the door. He knows better than that, and just basically the Russian really just owns him. Like Frank will get a couple of good hits in here or there, but and maybe burning his hand at some point. But yeah, he round 1 and 2 definitely go to the Russian on this one.
This is one of those times where if you were to tell me the Punisher is only alive because of plot armor, I would 100% agree with you.
Those are facts. Yep.
The Russian just straight up destroyed him in this.
Yeah, he definitely. But again, he's not top Frank shape.
No, he's not. No, he's not. And he even starts, with as he's getting punched in the face on that first page, saying, "I shouldn't have opened the door without checking. I just thought it was, what's his name from across the hall. That's on me." As he's getting jacked in the face.
Yeah, and one thing I'm getting tired of, and I've gotten tired of the last couple of issues, I'm now really fully over the banter between there are two cops trying to, they keep on saying the same thing over and over again, and it doesn't. I've heard it for 4 or 5 issues plus. I'm no, stop.
I agree. It's like they crossed the threshold with this issue, and I don't know what's different, but the threshold was crossed, and that's what it is.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like, it's almost like we needed a couple of pages to say and back to these two at the end is like, yeah, they're still sitting out there, nothing's changed. And she's yelling at him to put on his big boy pants and do something about his life. And yeah, I mean, I get it's more comic relief at this point, but now it's just annoying.
Yeah, pretty much.
The other thing that I kind of, again, it's been a while since I've read this at this point, but my worry is I'm starting to remember this is like, oh, the 3 Punisher wannabes are basically just going to come together at the end, and it's going to be a very rushed ending with 2 issues left. Yeah, that's what it's looking like.
I like what they're doing, and that kind of the goofiness of like, we're going to team up just because.
Yeah.
But
imagine if we're going to get the Punisher, and we're going to be like the 4 legs of this chair.
Yeah, like I like that, but it feels like they should have done it like 1 issue earlier, maybe, because all of a sudden all 3 of them are together.
Just by interesting happenstance, and finally someone's discovered the murderous preacher. What's he calling himself?
Yeah, I gotta pull that up, but yes, but I guess he's, I had wondered, was he going to be like the Pilgrim from the Punisher TV show? Not at all. Yep. I like the character, but not at all like the TV show.
And again, there's always been Punisher wannabes at that point, Punisher of the like, and it's just going to be very interesting. I think I'm more looking forward to Frank taking them down than than them continuing to exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, so we got 2 more issues left of this. So next week, the penultimate issue of the 12-issue miniseries at that point. So looking forward to seeing what's happening with that. And as we said, quick episode tonight. We do have post-credits, and technically this week we will have mid-credits and post-credits today. So
yeah, I guess technically that's true.
Yeah, technically that's true. So stay tuned for that. And but yeah, volume 193 in the books. So Brent, tell people how they can follow you.
Yeah, Brentac Prime on the places, on all the socials.
Just on all the socials.
Brentac Prime, go to pick your social and go there.
Yep. And you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balga and all the socials as well. You can follow this podcast on X and at Marvel A Podcast. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on X at GUA Pod Network. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on the on my other show, World's Finest True Believers, which is, I will plug, dropping an early episode, not next week, but the week after. It's a very timely one, and there's a reason I'm dropping it a couple weeks earlier than the end of the month. So I'll talk a little bit more about that next week. So prepping that right now. And you can feel free to email, tweet, DMs are open. You got to ask questions, fact or fictions, anything like that. Let us know. Continue to rate and review the Marvel Line solo feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us live in the chat. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, mid and post credits discussion. We've got two stories and some discussion points. So, first up, the Deadpool 3 set photo leaks. So, this weekend, some set photos. We knew set photos were before the strike. They were coming out there, and they got ahead of this, making sure that we saw the studio's version of Wolverine in his very comic accurate looking costume there, and then we saw a lot of other leaks of them fighting, which isn't that big of a deal. This weekend, a lot of set photos with some very spoilery things going out there. And before we kind of get into that, I want to read a statement by Ryan Reynolds addressing these leaks. He says, "The surprises are part of the magic of the theatrical movies. It's important for us to shoot the new Deadpool film in real, natural environments using practical effects as opposed to making sure the movie indoors and digitally. Telephoto lenses continue to spoil surprises and create difficult situations for everyone. Here's hoping some websites and social channels hold back showing images before they're ready. The film is built for audience joy, and our highest hope is to preserve as much as that magic as possible for finished film on the big screen. Part of the reason people post spoilers is because they're excited. I realize that these aren't real world issues, and it's firmly in the good problems bucket. I love making this movie." So Ryan Reynolds actually did post some of the spoilers for this. So we're going to go over some of the stuff that Ryan Reynolds posted, set photos for this. And, some of these cameos are going to be pretty wild at that point. So, spoiler warning right now. Apparently, let me kind of pull this up. We got the Predator is now in Deadpool 3.
Predator?
Did you see that one coming?
I did. I saw the image. I'm a little surprised at it, but they're going to show us the Predator. That's fine, but that's not the one I have the most questions about. Predator will fit more.
Yeah, but again, Disney owns 20th Century Fox. They're producing a Predator. There's a Predator. There's a Wolverine versus Predator comic I'm quite enjoying at that point. So there it is. If you're watching YouTube, yep, everyone, Predator is now in Deadpool 3. We got the next one right here. Is Mickey Mouse handing Deadpool the money? So he's going to be making.
That's the one that I'm questioning. Really, Mickey Mouse? You got? But I'm okay with it. I dig it.
Yep. As we go into here right now, looking closer, I'm not sure of this one we're seeing. At that point, it looks to be a lot of interesting things on set. Here we got cue cards. Wally, lower the cue card. Some interesting things with that. Oh, I do like this one. Apparently, Steve Urkel is also in Deadpool 3. Jamil White is going to be in Deadpool 3 as Urkel.
I love it. I love the whole thing. And I'm so thankful that Ryan Reynolds shared these images with us.
I know, yeah. He's getting ahead of the hashtag Deadpool leaks, hashtag Deadpool spoilers. So as you noticed, these are things that Ryan Reynolds did tweet out. Brent and I are not going to be going over those set photo images. Background on this, I had a heads up from a friend of mine, a person who's given me some information from time to time, and he gave me a warning within probably 60 seconds before the story broke, in the sense of you need to mute Deadpool 3 for the next day or so. At that point, just trust me, he knew I wouldn't want to understand it. So as soon as I did that in our group chat, Travis said there's some heavy spoiler out there, images coming out from the sets. And then an individual within a couple of minutes of that one just DM'd me the images and stuff without warning me. That person's in a very long timeout from me right now. And usually the people that are in the know that I'm connected to at that point have given me some information. Marvel Lines, we don't break scoops on this show, but sometimes I get information, they share information, and they usually ask, do you want to know something about this? And sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no, and they respect it. This person, don't ever do that to someone. Don't ever send someone that kind of like us that are fans just without asking first. It's cool that you know something. It's cool that you want to share it at that point. But sometimes even though we deal in this show some things that are spoiler and things like that, ask first. Don't just do it because it ruins something that, okay, upon reflection, there were hints about this happening in the movie, this quote unquote cameo happening, but it wasn't something I needed to see right then and there. So, fortunately, I got inadvertently spoiled, even though I did everything I can. Brent, you also unfortunately got spoiled as well.
I did. I did. Well, first of all, I saw something on TikTok that I thought was. I'm now convinced it was fake. I'm not even going to say what it was, but it was real enough. I was like, "Crap! This might have been what was the set photos. This might have been the
Mhm.
leak that was out." I now believe it was truly fake. But I Ryan Reynolds he shared this quote that you read,
Mhm.
right, and I saw it first on Threads, and I screenshot it and I put it in our network chat. I was like, "Hey, look, Ryan Reynolds posted this," and later I
Yep.
saw it going around Twitter and stuff. Also, I kid you not, like scrolling down, like the next one or two posts was the set photo on Threads, the set
Mhm.
photos in question. Like I at this point I'm like, okay, well now I've actually seen them. Like I've seen what the real ones are, and so at this point I know what they are. Going forward, I'd really rather not see them this way. It's not
Yeah.
how I want to find out, exciting, cool, fun stuff or whatever. And so, like going back to the Spider-Man No Way Home days when we pretty much knew the other Peters were in it, I still didn't want to see the set photos. I didn't want to see it. So David in the chat says he's gotten one spoiler. Well, I guess I've seen a little more than he has at this point, but I don't. I hate the scooper game. I hate set photo leaks. All of it just drives me
Yeah.
nuts.
On the game earlier, I was talking about people aren't talking about Deadpool 3's budget as an R-rated movie. Will it be more than the second movie, which was almost double the first budget? Um, I could see it again, just because of you're getting Hugh Jackman back in a role that he was pretty much moving on from at that point. I don't think the cameos are costing them necessarily too much, but the scale of it, yeah, I think when you're moving on to making this kind of the right now, and it's looking like the only movie for 2024 for the MCU. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the final budget of this is. So I agree, it probably will be more easily more than the second movie's budget, but what what I will say about this is sometimes on this show we do talk about set photos, but Brent and I always have a discussion first of whether something that we're going to cover on this point. Moving forward at this point, particularly especially with Deadpool 3, we're not talking about anything when involves set photos, period. It's gotten to the point of, like Ryan Reynolds said, you can't prevent someone with a telephoto lens doing this at this point, and it's unfortunate that the person who spoiled it for me, yeah, like I said, they're in a permanent timeout, and they know they're in a timeout for that at that point. But we've never been kind of we try to do our best on the show to warn you if it's going to be spoilers or anything like that, that you may want to do that at that point. We do talk about things that eventually are quote unquote could be spoilers, but it's the nature of the show. But Brent and I have always prided ourselves on we toe a line, and there's sometimes a line that we're not going to cross, and this is a line we're not going to cross.
And I do find it ironic that there's a I don't know what their official handle is, but X Men Updates is is one of the accounts that shared the set photos. I'm not saying they took them, but they shared them.
Yeah,
And I found it ironic that they shared the set photos and they shared Ryan Reynolds' message about not sharing the set photos. It's like,
yeah,
come on, guys. So that's not an account I'll be following in the future.
yeah, exactly. So, but moving on, last, and this is very quick at that point, technically post credits at this point. Kevin Feige going on record about Tony Stark, and he said, talking to Vanity Fair, he when bringing up Tony Stark's and the possible possible resurrection, he said, "We are going to keep that moment and not touch that moment again. We all worked very hard for many years to get to that, and we would never want to magically undo it in any way." So when I read this, I was like, okay, yes, that version of Tony Stark, the quote unquote mainline MCU 616, MCU Earth 199999, that Tony Stark is not coming back. He never said another version played by Robert Downey Jr. could return.
I believe we will see Robert Downey Jr. again.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. We will see him again as Tony Stark in some way.
Mhm.
Besides, he said they don't want to magically undo it. Well, then they'll just use science or something, right? Isn't that how that works?
Well, I also call shade because we still don't have a full answer on Scrody. So, in some way, if it's proven true that that was not Rhodey in Endgame, which would be a big, big, big
I don't
whiff
think
on their
that's
part.
messing. I don't think that is counting what he means by messing
I
with the moment.
I know, but it's one of those like saying, indirectly, you kind of did if that proves true.
We're also, I genuinely don't think we're going to get any Scrody update until Iron Heart at the earliest, or maybe Armor Wars. Provided they still do it, maybe
Hmm.
Armor. Like I just don't think we're going to hear about him until then. And I fully expect us to find out that Scrody was not from Civil War. There are other reasons why he may have been in a hospital gown. It
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
have to
yeah.
have been Civil War.
I'm with you on that. We said it during our episode review. Just because he's in a hospital gown didn't mean that it was just from Civil War. It just could be an interesting coincidence, but everyone pointed to that. So I'm on the hope side of it happened to be sometime later, and we got to preserve that. So, all right, you got two end credits, post credits, mid credits, everything like that. We're gonna see you all next week for volume 194, and yeah, we will see you then. Bye bye.